The Breakdown Automotive BMW 4 Series has been with us for about a year and a half now, and during that time it's covered quite a lot of miles. In fact, it's covered over 50,000 miles since it was purchased, mostly which were due to selling real estate, which is another mistake for another day. The 4 Series now has well over 100,000 miles on it, and it's been interesting to see how the car has aged during that time, especially considering the mileage has been excessively put on it over the last year. With that said though, I have driven quite a few BMWs with 200, 300, and even 400,000 miles on them, so by that standard, the 4 Series has a bit to go. So I thought it would be interesting to break down, no pun intended, how the 4 Series has aged over the past 100,000 miles. So anyway guys, before we jump into the video, if you enjoy automotive content, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. But for now, let's talk about how the 4 Series has aged. We'll go ahead and start with some of the negatives of the 4 Series after 100,000 miles because I want to end this video on a good note, mainly because I love this car. But one thing I don't love is the leather. For some reason, the leather has worn excessively over time, and I think it's mainly due to the car being a little difficult to get in and out of. Now, there are a few reasons for that. I have suspicions this car has been lowered by the previous owner just a little bit, and on top of that, the seat is broken. And for some reason, the approach angle, it's like we're off-roading, for entering the car is a bit awkward. I can't figure out why it's so different than other coupes in its class, but there is something about getting into the 4 Series that's just a little bit different, and it means you scrape on the side bolster every time you get in. No matter how far ahead of the side bolster you try to get in, you always end up scraping on it, which usually results in some minor back pain, but really no big deal for a BMW. So because of that, the side bolster leather has worn down quite a bit more than expected, but that could also be due to the excessive amounts of Chinese food that I like to enjoy. So the car's not all to blame. Another reason this car can be difficult to get in and out of is an issue with this specific one. You see, the seat is broken and nobody seems to be able to figure out what's wrong with it. We've had quotes from $600 at a starting point that would maybe fix it, but maybe not, which doesn't really instill a lot of confidence when you're spending $600. Another recommendation has been to replace the entire seat components altogether. I'm sure that would be cheap, but I didn't give them the chance to quote me. On top of that, the heated seat doesn't work, which is normally not a big deal, especially when it's 90 degrees and 2,000% humidity outside, but when it's 3 degrees and freezing cold, it would be nice. Luckily, the passenger still has their nice heated seat option, but the driver is just SOL. On top of that, the 4 Series likes to drip oil, which isn't that surprising for a BMW, but the thing is, the oil pan gasket, since we got the car, has leaked and dripped oil onto a belt 4 times, which comes out to just a little bit over every 10,000 miles, the same component breaks and starts dripping oil onto a belt. Because of that, both the oil pan gasket and the belt have to be replaced, resulting in a $700 repair. Now let's talk about some of the things that have aged really well over the past 100,000 miles. Starting with the transmission. Now the ZF 8-speed automatic transmission is probably my favorite transmission option available on any car right now. It is silky smooth, and in non-sport modes it really doesn't feel like it's shifting at all. In fact, it's really comfortable and it's really a pleasant transmission. Coming from someone who drives a 6-speed automatic Range Rover, known as the 6-speed slush box, it's very nice. It's different. The automatic transmission in this car has done really well with aging, and it's still silky smooth. And then you can pop the car into sport mode, put the transmission into sport mode, manual shifting, and it's a completely different animal. Even after all this time, the gear shifts are smooth, seamless, and extremely quick, and sport mode makes them a little violent, which gives the car some character and makes it very fun to drive. Moving on to the exterior though, I have suspicions this car has been lowered just ever so slightly by the previous owner. And the only reason I think that is because it sits just a little bit lower compared to 4 Series that are really the exact same car. Because of that, this car tends to scrape on just about everything. Now, I understand it's not a stanced car and you can drive over a leaf, but you really can't make it over too much. The front bumper doesn't look that low, but when you realize it has a lip hanging underneath it, that's what the car is consistently scraping on. Like I said, it's not a slammed car and it can make it over some normal obstacles, but potholes, you scrape on. Pulling into driveways, you scrape. Really, the thing scrapes every day. And it's not that we're carelessly driving the car, it's that for some reason the car just is way too low for normal driving. And with that, you can see that the car has taken a little bit of damage over the past 50,000 miles, especially on the front of the car. The back of the car also scrapes when pulling out of driveways and on other obstacles as well. For some reason, every time you go over any sort of incline, the front scrapes and then the rear scrapes. And it's pretty unpleasant. Some other things that have aged really well in the car are really everything else aside from the leather. The wood, for example, on older BMWs had a problem with cracking, which this one has no signs of any wear and tear on the wood whatsoever. Overall though, the car has held up very well, and I'm excited to see how it does over the next 100,000 miles, which may at this point just be in another couple of years. Driving those older BMWs truly gives me faith that this car will go forever and we'll just have minor problems to fix. I mean, let's be honest though, at every 10,000 miles for the oil pan gasket to be replaced for 100,000 miles, that's 10 times, that's $7,000 in repairs just from that. It's quite a bit.
I'm giving it back.
Sure, the 4 Series has some issues. The leather is a bit of an eyesore and the exterior has some damage as well. But overall, I love the 4 Series and I think it's a great car. As many BMWs as I've driven that are well over 200 and 300 and even 400,000 miles, I'm excited to see how long this car goes because I think it'll last forever. I'm gonna eat those words later. So anyway guys, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel with post notifications, and I will see you guys in the next video.